So you just barely got off Tutorial Island. You might be asking yourself a few questions, like, what should I be doing now? The game is a lot different than it is on Tutorial Island. Tutorial Island just kind of gives you a general overview of a bunch of skills and kind of how to train them. But in this video, I'm going to be giving you 7 tips of what you should be doing right after Tutorial Island. Hello guys, my name is Nonners, and if you guys are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, we will be getting into this video. So these tips aren't in any particular order, but the first tip that I could give you guys would be to start questing as early as possible. Questing for your levels early game is actually a lot quicker than training them manually, because usually the quests are pretty short and you get a lot of experience from them, at least the free-to-play quests. I'd probably start doing all the free-to-play quests that you guys can when you first start, just so that you guys get a general idea of how questing works, a general idea of how the game kind of works, and it also levels your account up pretty decent. Completing Dragon Slayer gets your combat up to around 40 or 50 or so, just because you have to train to kill the dragon. But yeah, the first tip that I could give you guys would be to quest as much as you can. So the second tip I could give you guys would be to go to the Stronghold of Security and complete it. That way you guys can get 10,000 GP as early as possible to get a lot of the supplies that you might need, like pickaxes, hatchets, whatever else. If you guys don't know where it's at, you go to Varrock, or if you're coming from Lumbridge actually, travel to Varrock, and then you head west. It's right here, and there will be a dungeon. So you go down, and you go through the maze, and at the end, there'll be a chest where you can collect 10,000 gold. I've already completed this, so I won't be able to show you, but you just go through the maze. You can look it up on the Wiki. Bunch of guides for it. But yeah, tip number 2 would be to complete the Stronghold Security. That way you guys get an early 10,000 GP. It's free to do. You just might want to bring some food, because there are monsters in here that will attack you. But yeah, you also get your choice of combat boots or the rainbow boots, whatever they're called, for Fashionscape, as well as your 10,000 GP. So tip number 3 would be to train magic as soon as you can as well, because magic is very important, just because it's one of the quickest ways to unlock teleports in the game. You've got Varrock, Lumbridge, Falador, Cammy, Artie, Watchtower, Trollheim. All of these spells will get you around the game a lot quicker, especially if all you can do really is just walk around. So tip number 3, train your magic as early as you can as well. What I would recommend is finding a monster just to start training on. I recommend moss giants because they drop a lot of seeds, they drop a lot of stuff that you might need early game. Just go to either the Grand Exchange, buy a bunch of mind runes, or go to the shop in Varrock and get a bunch of mind runes if you're an Iron Man. Come over here and start training. I recommend staying here until you unlock a lot of the more important spells like Varrock, Fally, Artie, stuff like that. But yeah, there you have it. There's tip number 3. So tip number 4 would probably be one of the most important ones I can give you, and that would be account security. One of the first things you can do to protect your account would be go to a bank, talk to them about setting up a bank pin. You can do this just by talking to them. I like to check my bank's pin settings. I believe the first time you talk to them, if you don't have a pin set up, it will ask you if you want to set one up first. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to put your bank pin in every single time you log out or log in, you can change it to log after 5 minutes offline. So if you are going to be hopping worlds a lot, this is very useful, so you don't have to put in your bank pin every time you log out. The second thing that I would recommend doing would be to set up the 2-step authentication on Jackex's website. There are probably a lot of tips and guides for that, so I won't go into detail, but the bank pin is probably one of the most important ones, just because if you do get hacked, they will not be able to access your bank pin. They will only be able to access what is in your inventory and what is actually on you. So I don't recommend keeping a lot of stuff in your inventory before you log out. Odds are you probably won't get hacked, but at least take some security measures so that it will protect you. So tip number 5 would be to utilize the old school RuneScape wiki and utilize YouTube to look up any guides for like quests, money making, skilling, a specific boss that you're struggling on. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can look it up on either of these two platforms and it'll help you. I'm sure you guys are already aware about YouTube because you guys are watching this video right now, but I use this a lot, especially the wiki for questing, because let's face it, none of us have every single quest memorized, even though we've been playing this game for a long time. But the new players that this video is actually geared towards, this will be a big help to you guys so that you guys can figure out a lot of the content in this game, because there's just so much to do in this game. Sometimes it can become overwhelming. So I do recommend using the wiki, and I do recommend using YouTube for whatever you guys get stuck on. I will be leaving a link to the wiki in the description below. That way you guys have a quick link to access this website. I highly recommend it. It's also on Old School RuneScape, their website right here. They have a link to it just because Old School RuneScape has sponsored this wiki. But yeah, there you have it. There's tip number 5. So you've learned about questing, you've learned about how to keep your account safe, the wiki, YouTube, how to train magic, a whole bunch of things. Now it's probably about time to learn about the Grand Exchange. That will be tip number 6. Grand Exchange is a very useful tip, or a very useful tool in Old School RuneScape. It's basically where you need to go if you need to trade or buy something or sell something. Come over to the Grand Exchange, click on Exchange. You'll have 8 different windows to buy or sell. I believe the first time you use this, it'll give you a tutorial, kind of how to use it, give you the rundown. This is probably where you go to buy your first set of rune armor if you're not an Iron Man. It is worth noting, Iron Man cannot use the Grand Exchange because they're not allowed to trade other people, only shops. But in order to buy something, you just click the buy option and you just start typing in an item that you want. Let's just say rune plate. Buy a plate body. It'll give you the amount that it's worth. A lot of times if you want to buy it fast, you just up it about 5%. Make sure the quantity is set to however many you want to buy and then just confirm. And that is how you buy your first item on the Grand Exchange. It's very important to learn about this also early on, because this is how you will be able to get a lot of your money selling resources that you get, like coal or whatever else. Yeah, that will be tip number 6, to utilize the Grand Exchange and trade other players. The 7th and final tip that I could give you guys would be to set goals. There are short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. It's very important to set these goals as often as you can so that you guys don't get burnt out of this game very quickly. Unless, of course, you don't want to play, then that's on you guys. But say, for instance, you set a goal of 99 fire making. You will always be busy trying to go to Wintertot or just training that skill in general. You won't be bored sitting at the bank trying to figure out what you guys want to do. You'll always be working towards something. And it's very helpful. Because if you don't have anything to do, you tend to get burned out and just get bored. So that's what I will say is the final goal for this video. As a side note, I highly recommend getting membership as soon as you can. You guys can do all the free-to-play quests, get a feel for the game, see if it's something you want to do. Membership opens up a whole lot of other content. You have a bunch of other skills, a ton more quests, a lot more area on the minimap. Highly recommend it as soon as you can, but this will probably wrap up for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to me so you guys get notified right away when I post another video. But until next time, I will see you guys.